Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear. This week, we're talking about the fact that you may not be a politician, but you can control your state with a few simple tools. We're getting to that point where the political discourse is becoming all that comes leading up to a presidential election and elections in Ohio and different things that are going on. And pretty soon we're going to be inundated with all kinds of ads. Thank goodness for streaming and we don't have to see all those. But we are not probably politicians by trade, but we can still manage our state. Maybe not the state that we live in. I live in Ohio. I don't really manage our state in any way except through my vote. But I can manage the most important state, and that is my own physiological and mental state. And we need to help those we lead do the same. And there are a few simple tools that we can use to do that at any time. Now, over the past couple weeks, I've talked about the power tools that I introduced at the NCATA summit that I was presenting at a couple weeks ago. Number one power tool was choosing one thought over the other. Number two power tool was asking questions to enhance our response ability. You remember my reference to Ted Lasso. And this week's power tool is managing our state. Managing our state in this way is a bottom-up. The way we're going to talk about today is a bottom-up control. Choosing one thought over the other, and our responsibility is a top-down control. Mind over body and emotion. And this is a body enhancing our ability to choose one thought over the other or respond appropriately. Now, which comes first? Sometimes our ability to choose one thought over the other does impact our state overall. Our responsibility sometimes influences our state. I don't know what comes first. Is it chicken or the egg? I think it depends on the situation. So we need to be ready for top-down tools and with bottom-up tools. So today's tools can help us get into the state that we need to be in to perform our best. And one thing we know about champions is this, is they ask themselves, how do I feel? How do I feel? Take inventory. Then the next and most important question is, how do I need to feel to perform my best? So how I feel is what it is, but getting to how I need to feel is what champions do. And how do they do that? They re-engineer how they felt at their best. They think about all the variables and factors that went into that, how they managed their responsibility, how they were choosing one thought over the other, how their body was feeling. They re-engineer what went into that, and then they dial it up through practice, through intentionality, through being self-aware at the times that they need it. So it's asking again, how do I feel? How do I need to feel? And then knowing how to get there because we have become aware of it and we understand what it takes to get there. Now it's about managing ourselves to be able to do that. So how can we do this? If we need to get fired up, what can we do? We all have a place where we perform the best. You've heard of the bell curve or the inverted U theory, where we don't want to be too relaxed. We don't want to be too uptight. And somewhere on that bell curve is our level, depending on what is expected of us at the moment. So how do we get fired up if we're just like, ugh, I don't feel like doing this? Well, there's a couple ways that we can do that, or different breathing techniques. Quite frankly, we can use our breath at any time to change our state. And inhaled focused breathing increases our alertness. How? When we are focused on our inhales, our diaphragm goes down. It leaves more room in the chest cavity for blood to flow in. And because there's more blood in there, our heart rate has to increase. When our heart rate increases, it signals to our sympathetic nervous system to say, hey, time to go. Let's go do this. Boom. We're turned on. There's a little more science to it than that, but that's all we need to use the practice. So we can do this. We can take 3 strong inhales in, You can do it on your own, look it up on the internet. You can see, or we could try what they call double breathing. Double breathing is taking a quick inhale followed by a longer inhale, and then without pausing, taking a short exhale through our nose and our mouth, and then a longer exhale, and doing that 5 times. That's double breathing. So we're double breathing long, right? And double breathing out, short, long. So short, long, short, long. That's double breathing. That can increase your attention. It can, or your ability to be attentive, because it's increasing your arousal. And that is what we need at times. Conversely, and most often when under pressure situations, we sometimes need to chill it out. And we know that we can use our breath to do that. When we focus on exhaled focused breathing, our body changes, just like it did with the inhaled focused breathing, because our diaphragm now moves back up, and that decreases the space, and our heart rate slows. So there's not as much blood, not as much need to pump. So our heart rate is going to slow, which slows our brain waves, which slows everything. We know the benefits of using our breath intentionally, but it's that exhaled focused breathing that allows us to slow everything down, including the game in front of us. How can we do this? We've talked about this before. Dr. Andrew Huberman on the Huberman Lab podcast talks extensively, and there's a link on my website in this blog about this physiological sigh. And you've done it before. Remember that ugly cry? It's the, right? We're trying to get ourselves reset. Well, this physiological sigh is a little more extended than that, but what it does is it helps us regulate our stress almost instantaneously. They sometimes call it a cyclic sigh. This is where we breathe in fully, as deeply as we think we can, and then we take another quick hit. So it's the opposite of double breathing. That was a quick hit, then a long. This is a long, and then we extend and very slowly an elongated exhale to allow our heart rate to slow. So again, it's what happens during that time is all those little sacs in your lungs pop open. They were closed. They pop open. And I'm told that that really increases the surface tension, but the surface area of your lungs. Because if you spread out all those little air sacs, they would cover a large portion of a tennis court. And when those air sacs get opened, it's expelling, couldn't think of the word, carbon dioxide, which we need to get out. That's the waste, and allowing the good self-feeding oxygen to take its place. So we want to keep that balance. Too much carbon dioxide causes anxiety, causes all kinds of different things. In fact, if you're holding your breath under the water, it's really not the lack of oxygen that is making you feel like, I got to get to the top. It's the carbon dioxide buildup. So that we need the carbon dioxide for sure. I'm not a scientist, but you can read all the studies just like I do. But we also know that oxygen is the breath of life. So we want to get as much in as possible. So this cyclic sigh, or this cyclical breathing, or this physiological sigh that we're talking about, can help us lower our stress almost instantaneously. It will definitely lower it. There is no doubt about it. So either one of these breathing techniques can change, or any of the three that I mentioned, can change our state. We can always manage our state with our breath. We can also manage our state with our choosing one thought or the other and our responsibility, and we know that. So you get to choose, based on the situation in front of you, whether you're going to use a top-down or a bottom-up approach. Being familiar, practicing, being aware of which situations call for which tool in our own experience is vital to us being able to perform at our best. And us learning that for ourselves is helpful, but sharing it with those we lead can be game changing. So as you're managing moments, Well, actually, let's put it this way. The only way you can manage moments is if you manage your own state. We can't manage our performance if we're not in control of ourselves. And these simple breathing techniques can be very, very instrumental, whether we're on the pitch, on the court, on the field, in the boardroom, in a tough conversation. They can be used at any time. And that's the cool part about it. So I challenge you this week to think about which top-down behaviors are tools, and which situations need those, which situation need the bottom-up behaviors, and start implementing them. And I guarantee you'll feel different, and you'll be able to help those you lead do it as well. So until next week, manage the moments, manage your state, and check out Dr. Huberman's podcast. I have a link in there. The physiological side also can help with side stitches for those of you that exercise. Great little tip. And you can find the time mark to find that exact portion of the podcast online. Until next week, have a great week. Use that breath to manage your state and enjoy the time without political ads until you have to watch commercials. Have a great week.